You've got making of the Speedline windows, which comes with their kits. They're made in Perspex, nicely detailed. So there's 4 main components plus the lens. So I'm going to make one up. So the first thing you need to do is take out from the plastic sheet, Perspex sheet, is the main frame, the backing one. That's the first frame, and you can probably see that it's got, if you can see, it's got these little etched dummy bolt heads as such, but they're not actually bolt heads, but it's just like a dummy recess. So that's the first frame you take out. You then need the next frame, which goes on top of that, obviously, which gives it, starts to build up the window components and make the window look a little bit smaller. So that's then the next one, which looks like this. I don't know if you can see it, but there's also some little etched lines all the way around this for when you put the next component on. Also on the first one there is a very, very fine white etched line, so it's quite an easy-ish process. Lay one on top of the other, again making sure that it aligns. You can do this by, you can physically see it, but you can also check the little dots for dummy bolt heads to make sure that they all line up. So all I do is just hold it in place using plaster weld. Now this is an applicator you can get from EMA. It's brilliant, it's got a syringe end to it and it makes life a lot easier. So by just applying it in one corner, you will then get a capillary action running down the window frame. Just hold it together for a few seconds, and then I normally do the opposite corner by a little bit of glue, let that run round. You can see it running round. Pinch again and hold it in place, and then go to the opposite corner again, run the applicator round and pinch it in place. And the thing with this plaster weld is it goes off in seconds, especially when it's warm. So it's great stuff. And that's all it is too. So there's the first 2 frames put together. So the next part you need is the outer window frame. So that actually stops the glass from coming through, and it comes again, which is like that. Now you've got 2 options here. You can actually use no you can't, sorry, I tell a lie. It's you'll see that it's got a paper backing to it. All the parts have got paper backings. What you need to make sure you do is, by using the old scalpel, just gently on the paper side, just gently lift it off, but make sure that when you pull it off you also get the piece of clear plastic behind it, because if you don't, you try and glue that on and it will stick, but after a short period of time it'll all fall apart. So that's what you end up for taking off. And discard that, obviously. Now I normally, because I know that's the side that I've just put the standing on, the scalpel on, I will always use that as my glued side, just in case you scratched it. What you don't want is a scratch on the outer frame. So again, it's the same procedure. Pick up the other 2 frames, align it in place, checking again around your etched lines, making sure that it's symmetrical. That's a big word for me. My mate watches this video, he will start laughing. Don't ask me how to spell it, but there you go. So again, lining it up by hand, again with the applicator, just a little touch in the corner. Again, I go opposite corner, holding it in place like that. Just squeeze it together, and then again go all the way around, making sure that the glue runs around with a capillary action. The thing with this glue is it does evaporate very quickly. There you go. So that's that frame made. So you've now used 3 components. You've got the backing frame, which is the bit that actually goes onto the model itself. You've got the second frame, which spaces it off, and then you've got basically the window catchment, shall we say, that stops the glass from coming through. So once you've done that, you can invert it. You then need the surround that goes into the actual wheelhouse itself, and again these are a lot thicker, and when they look like this, two parts. This part is your glazing part. It's quite thick, as you can see, and again remember, paper on the back, so you need to remove that. Same procedure as before. Got it around the wrong way. There you go. So you take the paper off. Again, just start it with a knife, pull it all the way around, peel it off. Excuse my hand being in the way. Now what I normally do is I use the actual glass, the glass itself. I'll drop that inside the frame so it fits in like that. So obviously that's correct because it doesn't fall out. I'll then drop the mounting frame over the top of it. You then know that everything is all in the correct place. Pick it up, just gently hold it together, making sure that the glass is touching the outer frame. Again, a little bit of glue, capillary action, let that run round, opposite corner, and be careful not to get too much glue on, because otherwise you'll end up gluing the glass in place. And then just literally invert it, and it just drops out with a little bit of gentle persuasion. So now you can carry on making sure that that frame is glued in all the way around, like so. Just run it round like that, and that's another one made. And it's as easy as that, they say. I just put a bit of pressure on just to make sure that it holds down properly. That's it. Pop your glass back in place, like so. It's quite a nice snug fit. Job done. Obviously when you've painted them, you've got to paint them next, so prime them and paint them. Remember, when you're painting them you don't need too much paint on, otherwise you'll lose all the detail. So I just leave that in place for now so that I know where it is. When I do the next bit I'll show you how I paint them, and there you go. So that's it.